Okay.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. This is how streaming has changed the traditional marketplace. My name is Dennis Schroeder. I'm the founder of Duo Live. We're coming back for our virtual event this year, November 16th through the 20th. Last year, we had done our actual virtual event prior to our in-person event. And as you know, the world has changed a little bit and kind of limited on our in-person events. So we're going to run with that digital event. More information coming about the week. WKBN is a proud, I'll say it for them, proud Duo Live sponsor, 2 years running, and has been with us really since year one. Today we have with us Jim Johnston. He's your featured presenter and internet digital specialist with WKBN. I've heard Jim talk several times and on geofencing. Today we're going to talk about streaming. Can't wait to hear that information. Mark Dinowitz is also here from WKBN, the digital sales director. Mark is a alum of speaking at Duo Live, and just thank you guys for being here, taking time today. I'm going to shut up now. Jim, you got the floor. I'm muting myself and stopping my video, so thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Welcome, everybody, and we're going to have an in-depth discussion, and believe me, it can go very in-depth, about streaming and how it has changed the way that we are viewing what was the traditional marketplace, TV, and how streaming has now made the way that we view video content on any of our screens different now. So first off, how many people stream something at least once a week? How many people watch something on a Netflix or a Hulu or stream video on their phone or on a desktop? I hope everybody's got their hands up, because if you don't, you're part of the 6% of Americans who don't do that. Streaming has really changed a lot of the way that we get our content. So we're going to take a quick look at how streaming actually works. We're going to give you some insight into how people use streaming ad placement to reach their customers. And then we're going to give you some insight into how you can target your own clients using streaming TV. And we'll open it up for questions. And I do not have the ability right now to see if anybody puts a question in the chat, but I'll let Dennis jump in if anybody has something, and we can address those in real time. So what is streaming TV? I mean, you've heard a bunch of terms: OTT, connected TV, pre-roll video. What does it actually mean? So streaming is basically just anything that does not come from a broadcast signal or a cable wire. Any internet provided video is streamed. So that's on your phone, that's on your desktop, your laptop, your tablet, and on your connected television. All of that video content is streamed. But what do we mean by OTT or CTV? Well, that's over the top. That's basically, OTT is over the top, and it means content that you pull down from your internet that is not from a broadcast signal or your traditional cable television subscription. And that can be anywhere. That can be on any device that allows you to play that video. Beyond that, connected TV really means streaming video that you watch on a full screen television the same way that you would traditional broadcast and cable TV. That's going to be a full episode or a full movie. It's going to be something that you watch sitting on the couch, looking up at the wall, the same way that you would your traditional TV media. You can see here, we've got a ton of examples of the different things that represent connected TV and streaming video. And, we've got 100 different devices that you can watch this stuff on: Roku, Apple TV, Chromecast, Amazon Fire Stick. Those are the devices. Those are the things that get that streaming video to you. Then you've got different networks and different channels and different content providers. Everything from CBS News and individual channels like Bravo and HGTV, all the way to the larger networks like Sling TV, Netflix, Hulu, Hulu Live, and all of those providers. There is a ton of streaming content out there. And for us to go individually through each example and kind of give you the ins and outs of that, we would be here quite a bit longer than I think anybody wants to. But the important thing to know is that all of the things that you're pulling down on one of these devices on your television set, that's streamed video content, and that has now become the fastest, most dominant version of video content that you can pull down aside from your broadcast television. So how do people stream? Well, they stream in basically three ways. There is on-demand content where you go to an iTunes and you download an episode of a show or a movie. You pay for that. That's on demand. There is subscription-based streaming, which is a Netflix or a Hulu. You pay a monthly fee, and then the content is provided through that subscription service. You watch your shows and your movies on Netflix or on Hulu or on Amazon Prime. And then there is ad-supported streaming. So those are going to be free platforms that provide their content with ads in front of or midstream during the episode or the movie that you're watching. And all three of those are available on your TV, on your tablet, on your phone. But the way you get that content and what you pay for it or don't pay for it is determined by the ability for people across the country to place their ads inside of a streaming piece of content, whether that be a full episode show or a movie. And about 5-6 years ago, that kind of commercial placement on streaming services like this, like Paramount and Showtime and Bravo and HGTV, that kind of placement was much larger. It was a much more regional or national ad buy. The ad inventory and the number of customers streaming did not make it the easiest access point for local business owners to be able to access that and put their 30-second commercial on streaming shows or streaming movies. So that landscape has changed. It's changed very rapidly. All of the things that we're showing here is that used to be a regional or a national buy where you would see Ford. Now you might see your local Ford dealer in all of those spaces. And that has come about so quickly. That's kind of what we're going to talk about today, how what was just a few years ago something that was not an easy place for a local small business to access is now open to any kind of region or demographic targeting. And that's the important thing to know, is that access is now there for everybody, for all small businesses. And we're going to give you a little insight into just how to do that and what it means for you. So the difference between traditional media, TV and radio, and streaming TV is the ability to target using the same digital targeting and demographic tools that we use for all other digital products. So our ability to put a 30-second commercial up on a TV screen using connected television and streaming TV now means that we have the ability to target the same kind of audience interest, online behavior, demographic information that we do with display ads and social media and all of the other digital products that have that kind of targeting capability. A great example of that is, a Ford dealer who wants to sell F-150s. He's looking for men 35 and up. If he buys broadcast TV, he might buy a 30-second spot during a live football game. Or he might buy a radio spot on a local country music station, because the likelihood that the viewership or the listenership for those particular show or for that particular station is going to fit his demo, his target demo, is fairly high. With streaming video, all streaming video, whether it's on your phone or your tablet or your desktop or up on the TV, that digital capability to use demographic and audience interest information, online behavior, that targeting gets much more specific. So now we're talking about that same Ford dealer. He wants to sell F-150s. Now we're targeting men 35 plus with incomes over $75,000. And maybe those people have recently searched for or viewed content online that was related to a truck or buying a truck. They might be researching their next purchase. They might be going to sites like cars.com or Edmunds or Kelley Blue Book. They are doing things that lead us to believe they're in the market for a new truck, and we want to put this Ford dealer's message in front of them. So that targeting capability is what elevates streaming video into the space that it is in now, the ability to in a very sophisticated way, find those exact customers and place that message in front of them using video, using a 30-second commercial spot, is now available to any size business. So all of the targeting that you might be used to, if you have any familiarity with any other digital products, a display ad or a social media ad or a search engine marketing ad, we have data and information that says this consumer is looking for X. Let's put this message in front of them, or they've already looked at or searched for X. Let's put a message about us selling X in front of them. All of this now being open to everyday small businesses is a game changer in the way that we view commercial content on TV, because the difference now from 5-6 years ago when this ad inventory was not open is that the majority of Americans, almost 70%, watch at least 3 hours of stream content a week, at least. And 50% watch more than 10 hours. So a lot of people in this country have decided my cable bill's too high, I'm not paying for it, or the shows I want to watch aren't really on these networks, or I can get the networks that I want to watch using a streaming service rather than the cable. Those are the people we refer to as cord cutters, people who have never had cable, cord nevers, typically younger Americans, who are now using streaming as their primary means of watching all of their content online. And that's everything from live sports all the way to old movies on the Paramount Network. So the ability to place these commercial messages in a very targeted way in front of a streaming audience is becoming more and more important every day, because that's where people, the prime consumers in this country, are getting a lot of their content. So here's a great example of what we just talked about. You want to look for an auto interest, people who are auto intenders inside the Youngstown market. You're intending to buy a car and you're sitting down to watch your favorite TV show. You'll see a Chevy ad in the commercial break of that TV show. And if you'll see down here, it's kind of small, but this is streamed on the Paramount Network. You're not going to be able to turn on your TV and watch this at 8 o'clock on a Thursday night on broadcast TV. It's also not going to be at a regularly scheduled time on any of your cable channels. I could sit down right now and watch this full episode of Yellowstone on the Paramount Network at 10:16 in the morning on demand and watch it in its entirety. And because yesterday or sometime this morning I was looking at some cars online, maybe I was looking at some auto financing, I did something on my IP address that triggers that I am an auto intender. There's that Chevy commercial showing up inside my favorite show that I streamed on demand. So the importance of being able to put these ads out there in front of people who are doing this is that I'm not going to sit down and watch this the same time every night, the same week all through the year. It's not going to be that Thursday night Seinfeld came on 8 o'clock, let's sit down and watch it. This on-demand environment, which has grown hugely since the COVID-19 pandemic started, now means that we can put this in front of people when their attention is being directed at the TV, at the same time that we know their online behaviors have triggered us to say they're an intender or a purchaser or interested in this product or this service. So we've taken the kind of broadcast TV attention where it's appointment television. 8 o'clock on Thursday night, new episode of Seinfeld, I'm going to be there. Well, now it's whenever I want to watch it, there's a new episode of Yellowstone. I'm going to be there. I'm going to give it my full attention. But now the same local business that had the ability to place their commercial in front of that viewer at 8 o'clock on a Thursday night can do it in front of a viewer anytime that viewer is giving that TV their full attention, and do it in a way that matches up with their interest or their intent to buy a product or consume a service. So same thing, you're looking for sports enthusiasts in a 15 zip code area. You're going to watch football. Those commercials are going to show up in the same place. Really, the important thing to note about this is that now the ability to place that local commercial opens up a whole new world for local advertisers, because you've got an audience and you've got a captive audience, and you don't need to buy based on that audience potential reach for any given show. So with streaming video, and especially the connected TV, a lot of the times when we work with our clients, I like to tell them that I know you want to target something specific, a specific show, a specific network, because that's where you believe your audience will be. It's where you believe the demographic that you're going after will be in watching that content and watching those videos. But that's not always necessarily true. And it also leaves out some other areas where you might have a captive audience, but you didn't think of that network or that channel. So with streaming TV, our capability is to be able to target that audience member regardless of what they're watching and what they're streaming. So if I'm looking for men 35 plus who are in the market for a truck, I'm going to think live sports. I want golf and football. I want movies. I want the History Channel. You might target them based on content, but if we target them based on behavior and based on purchase intent, we might not get that guy who sits down and watches 6 episodes of Food Network, because we didn't think of Food Network as a potential channel, or the content that's on Food Network as a show that a 35 plus truck intender would watch. But because that online behavior indicates that particular user is researching a new truck, doesn't matter what they watch on TV. We'll put that 30-second truck commercial in front of that person to make sure that they see that message. So in the traditional sense, the old way of doing it was, this TV show reaches a large number of this audience, 35 plus males. We're going to put your commercial in that TV show. And broadcast TV is still the best way to reach a massive number of people, to get a lot of people to see your message. But now we can say, it doesn't matter what they watch. Whatever they want to watch on demand on a streaming service, if their online behavior and their purchase intent tells us they're looking for a truck, we're going to show them that 30-second truck commercial, whether it be on the Great British Baking Show, or on a replay of an old PGA Tour broadcast, or on a documentary on ESPN. We'll be able to put that commercial in front of that potential customer using that targeting, and get them wherever they're watching, and get them when their attention is up on that screen. So the capability to do that has really created a massive boom in streaming video. And that's kind of a double-edged sword. There are way more people watching streaming content, video content on TV than there were just 5 years ago. There are way more people watching streaming content on TV today than there were 4 months ago. You'll see that top line there, the growth in streaming from February till now passed the projections that we thought that growth would take through 2023. A lot of that is due to the fact that quite a few of us have been sitting at home for a long time now. So we are not going out to the movies. We're not going out to the sports bar to watch the Ohio State game with our friends. There's no live baseball. We are desperate for content, and we have got that content by going out and downloading streaming services, whether they be by subscription or whether they be free services that are ad enabled. And now, as opposed to just a couple years ago, cable show episodes, you might watch the season premiere or the series premiere at 8 o'clock on a Thursday night on AMC on your cable provider. But then after that, you've got access to that full episode show and all the shows that come after it on your streaming service. Most of the cable shows that are watched today outside of a series or a season premiere are watched in a streaming environment after they premiere. Best example of that, Walking Dead. I always caught the season premiere or the series premiere of Walking Dead on TV, appointment television, and then I watched it. But then I knew that I didn't have to be there every Thursday night or every Sunday night at 9 o'clock to watch that. If I wanted to catch it on a Saturday morning or a Friday night or a Monday early evening, I could stream it. And that trend has gotten to the point where more people are consuming traditional cable shows in a streaming environment. Great example. Who watches Friends or Seinfeld? I stream Seinfeld a lot still. Friends is one of the top 3 shows that get streamed today. That show ended in May of 2004, 16 years ago, and that show gets streamed in the top 3 of all streaming shows that are available out there. Seinfeld is also in that top 3. The Friends actors and the Seinfeld actors just last year both made a ton of money from streaming networks that bought the rights to those syndicated episodes. $800 million for Seinfeld, almost $1 billion, because they know a lot of people are going to watch those episodes and they can place ads in front of them, and they can place ads in front of them with more efficiency and with more inventory and having more buyers than they did just 5 years ago. Disney Plus had a 5-year subscription projection that they released in the fall of 2019. And the goal of the company was to hit that subscription projection by 2024. They reached it within the first 6 months. Baby Yoda had a lot to do with that, but they got there in a fraction of the time that. And by 2024, almost all the TVs you can buy are going to have the smart streaming capability built in. All Samsung TVs now, from last year, 2019, going forward, all Samsung TVs will have a Roku built into them. When you buy it, you get the streaming capability right off the bat. In 5 years, the likelihood that you can buy a TV that still plugs into cable or has an antenna and that's it is going to be extraordinarily low. And most of the TVs people are buying, they're 46 to 55 inches. Streaming quality, the ability to get high quality streaming video on their TV is the #1 feature that consumers are looking for when they research and shop for a TV. So the audience is there. The audience is looking for streaming quality in their TV purchase. They're giving streaming content more and more of their attention every single day. The ad inventory and the ability for a small business to place their message in front of somebody inside of this streaming environment is growing by the day. And it's not going to be long before your ability to watch something on TV is either going to be live sports or your local news through your broadcast provider, or streamed content on your streaming provider, whether that be a subscription to Netflix or Hulu or Prime, or a service like Sling, or individual content providers like the digital versions of the cable channels, AMC, Bravo, HGTV. There is going to be, in a few short years, a period of time where you're not going to get any content on your television set the way that we did just a couple years ago. That kind of turnaround in technology, it's happened rapidly, and it means that the streaming environment, which was kind of the Wild West just a year or two ago, is starting to get more controlled and concentrated towards large providers, meaningful content. They are trying to get everything to a point where the streaming on-demand experience is the same as your live broadcast experience, where you want to watch a show, you're gonna see commercials in it. Those commercials are likely going to fit your interest and your product intent. The only difference is going to be, instead of having to watch it at 8 o'clock on Thursday, you can watch it whenever you want to. So all of these things have now opened up a network where the only way to really make this work for the content providers is to be able to sell these ads, to sell this ad time. Whereas 5-6 years ago, it would have been Ford buying Ohio and PA and Michigan and New York and Indiana because they had to get enough streaming viewers in that marketplace to see the ad. Now, the number of people who stream content on a regular basis means that we have local Ford dealers who are buying local ads, just targeting Mahoning and Trumbull and Columbiana County, because they can reach quite a few people frequently and based on their interest and their product intent, and they can do it at a set price, at a CPM. You know, instead of buying a spot in the news that costs X number of dollars and a spot on Thursday night in Big Bang Theory that costs X number of dollars, they're paying a per 1,000 CPM dollar rate, and the placement goes wherever that truck buyer wants to watch. Whether that be, again, Great British Baking Show or Indiana Jones on the Paramount Network. And more consumers are much more willing to watch that 1 or 2 set of 30-second commercials before their show airs to have the rest of that show play without commercial content. So you get that captive audience. You get those people who are saying, I'm willing to watch this 30-second commercial because I know my 30-minute episode of Friends is going to play all the way through after that. You get a very highly captive audience. At WKBN and My Valley Digital, we're running multiple connected TV and OTT campaigns for our clients, and we're averaging a 96% completion rate, because if I know I have to sit there for 30 seconds and my show comes on, I'm not likely to skip it. And most of the time, I don't have the ability to skip it. The only time people skip out of it is when they say, oh, this isn't the episode I wanted to watch, or let me go back and see if I can find something else on a different streaming provider. We're much more willing to kind of have an unwritten contract between the advertiser, the streaming network, and ourselves that, hey, show me 1 or 2 commercials. That's great. I'll watch them, and then show me my content after that without interruption, without a break. That is the really big thing that has driven the ability of streaming providers to advertise. Is they know they have a captive audience, and they don't have to put as much into those particular episodes or that content to really be able to drive that. So that is really where we're getting a lot of that ad inventory growth, is that we're willing to watch it as consumers. We're willing to watch those ads. And now that they have a little bit more targeting and more connection to our buying intent or our interests, our ability to engage with those ads has gone up. So what does this mean for your business or your client's business? You're in this space and you want to put a video message in the streaming environment. Where do I place it? How do I do that? There are still barriers to being able to put your commercial on a streaming show or a movie you can't call up the network. You can't call Bravo and say, I want to buy $1,000 worth of streaming video in Boardman, Ohio. You still have to be able to go through the aggregators of that network. My Valley Digital is one of those providers, but we're selling that the same way that we sell our traditional broadcast TV. Is we help you with the targeting, we help you figure out who you want to reach, and then we make that buy. The buying power still matters, but you're going to see over time your ability to do this and to buy this content is going to get just as easy as you can calling up WKBN and saying, I want my commercial in the 6 o'clock news. You're going to have a local representative. You're going to have a local contact. You're going to have the ability to put that in and say, here's where I want this to appear. This is the audience I'm trying to reach. I want to do that, put me in there. And you're going to be able to do it at whatever scale you want. If you want that video to run in 7 zip codes or the entire state of Ohio, you have that capability. The important thing to know, though, is that for anybody who has a customer base to reach, you're selling a product or a service, this is going to be, within the next year to 3 years, the primary way to connect with your customer base outside of live broadcast television. This is going to be it. And it's going to change rapidly. And I think the thing that I want to stress the most is that just think about your everyday streaming experience and where you get your video content on your TV. Maybe you watch WKBN News at 6 o'clock, and then you watch 6 straight episodes of Flip or Flop on HGTV on a streaming service. That kind of ability to have that content whenever you want it is really changing that consumer landscape to the point where now, I know a Browns game is going to be on at 1 o'clock on a Sunday. The movie I want to watch is on whenever I want it. So there's still going to be that space where the live TV and the local TV is important. But now that other content that I used to get from cable, or I used to get from an appointment with a network like AMC or USA, that's now going to be completely on demand. So that landscape has changed rapidly. It has opened up a lot of doors, and it has put now the power in the hands of the business owner, of the advertiser, the ability to access that streaming content and put your message in front of customers who really have an interest or intent to buy your product or to consume your service. And that really is the driving force behind this kind of growth right here, is that they know people are watching it, and they know that that's where the consumers are going to get the content. That's where the advertisers are going as well. So I see a bunch of flashes up here that we've got some questions.
Hey, Jim, I am right now, I grabbed the question from Corey. I'm trying to get into what he asked. He says, do you believe moving forward that this will backfire for actors, movie companies to produce more content for people to make? I don't quite understand the question. I asked him to maybe clarify just a little bit what he means by more content for people to make, user-generated content or whatever that may end up being. But
well, to answer the first part of that question, the landscape of the award shows has changed, where Netflix and HBO dominated the Emmys and the Golden Globes and even the Oscars with their content. So for the first time ever last year in 2019, in February, I guess, because that was when the award show took place. But for the 2019 season, Netflix and HBO and Hulu streaming services, HBO, the streaming service, had more nominations for the top awards than the regular networks, the CBS, ABC, NBC, and even some of the cable networks. So for the first time ever, streaming services dominated a TV and movie award show where that content was the most watched across the board. So as far as it backfiring on actors and the actual content that you're getting, the more ability to deliver content probably means you're going to get a little bit more crap, but you're also going to get a lot better stuff. I mean, who saw The Irishman? That was released on Netflix. The first time ever they got Pacino and De Niro and Joe Pesci in the same movie, and it wasn't released. It was released on a streaming service. It's not a gamble anymore for these big time directors and these big time studios to say, hey, if you want to watch this movie, you got to download Apple TV. I did that. I got a free trial of Apple TV because I wanted to see Greyhound with Tom Hanks. That's the only place you could get it. That's where the release took place. So,
and obviously as a result of the current situation landscape as well, with COVID being in place, you saw TV or movies like Trolls get released straight to Apple for $20. It's obviously above the pay grade of what they typically would charge. And a lot of movies had to go straight to the streaming environment because of what ended up happening. You wonder if that's going to end up becoming the norm. Corey gets a little deeper into it, and just what you said is, will they be able to continue to deliver quality content? And obviously, the more of it tends to a lot of times water down. But you also see too, and that's a good point. Comedy specials, if you're a comedian at one point in our lifetime, if you've got an HBO special, you were on your way or you made it. Now, every comedian out there is basically gone the Netflix route. Like, everybody's like, if you've made it or you're making it and you're on your way and you're a comedian, did you have a Netflix special? And if you didn't, then you're not in the comedians club. You're not in the Dave Chappelle's. You're not in the Adam Sandlers. And so it's a very interesting thing that you present there.
So,
well,
Corey,
that kind of thing, just to add on to that for Dennis there, this is leading to more quality content getting discovered that would have been kicked aside, because that ability to put that content up there, when a major movie studio says, we're not going to release this because if we have to put this in theaters and put a budget behind this, it's never going to return on our investment. You can have content made that's ad enabled and put it out there, and people are going to rent it for $3.99 or watch it with ad enabled content, where the amount of risk that the studio had to take was not the same. They might have rejected that because they didn't feel like the quality or the return would be there. Whereas now they're saying, we can give this a shot, and it turns out to be really strong content. So yeah, that has changed a lot.
We have a question coming in. We streamed this over to Facebook Live, and we have some questions that actually came in through there as well. And so, platforms that are being used for targeting demographics, and what are you getting analytics to do this? Maybe you already addressed that, but TV advertisement has been so contingent upon the show pulls the audience, right? Like, a certain type of audience watches PGA golf on Sundays. A certain audience watches Modern Family, and you have an idea of what that demographic is. I think it's almost reverse engineered when it comes to maybe streaming TV, but how is targeting utilized in OTT and streaming? Is that in the decision-making process? Is it still like, Facebook, obviously you're setting up your audience, right? Here's who I want to target. Is streaming the same way?
Yes. Because it's internet delivered video, because it has all the connections to the IP address in a user's home, where all of that online behavioral data allows us to do targeting with a display ad. It's the same thing with the streaming TV. Just because it's a TV up on your wall doesn't mean that it's not internet stream video. That internet is the data, and that also provides us those analytics and that kind of feedback. We get direct feedback. When we have a streaming television campaign running, we can tell our clients exactly where it ran, what time it ran, what the completion rate was. We can tell them all of the places that their commercial was seen, and where in the geography, and at what time of day, and by whom, because it's an internet connected experience. It allows us the same targeting capability with all the other digital products out there, social media, display ads, that kind of thing, in a TV experience.
That's very interesting. That's very interesting and powerful stuff. I appreciate everybody dropping on by today to this webinar. Jim Johnston, WKBN Internet Specialist. Mark Dinowitz is on. He's the director, I'm sorry, Digital Sales Director. And great topic of conversation. Obviously, you know, it's only going to get more of it. I don't think that it's going away or going anywhere anytime soon. You know, I wake up this morning and my look at my son, and he's, you know, graduated from, you know, the kid apps to YouTube to now just pretty much watching TikTok as a form of entertainment instead of turning on the TV and even streaming that. So everybody that's poo-pooing the idea, and that's a professional marketing term for all of you, the idea of TikTok in your marketing, you've got 10-year-olds that this is their world, that are going to have buying power now by tugging on my shirt when we go out to the store. And at 15 or 16, they have money in their pockets. How are you going to get to them, right? So.
Yeah. Can I add one thing, Dennis?
Absolutely.
On Corey's question, I see Corey clarified. It's basically delivering quality content. And I think we touched on it a little bit, but if you look at what's happening in the streaming world with, you know, Netflix being the driver of specific contracts, like with Adam Sandler, like with Eddie Murphy, who is now gonna do 5 to 10 remakes of stand-up specifically for streaming. All of the companies, the amount of money that they're paying to purchase and deliver content is astronomical. Narnia, which hasn't been remade in almost 15 years. You know, Netflix paid $150 million for the rights to Narnia, which they are creating right now, multiple new movies and a series. So as long as the content, they're going to dish out that kind of money and bring in these big directors, the content will be fine. So there shouldn't be anything that, you know, I'm sure there's going to be some bombs. You know, Adam Sandler had some bombs even when in his heyday. But just go watch Little Nicky.
It's a hard argument to it's a very what you would call it, there's not much to debate there, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't worry about that. Corey liked Little Nicky. It's funny.
Any other additional questions for Jim or for Mark? I appreciate you guys taking the time today. This session was recorded. We'll make sure that we pin it back to you can listen to this on demand and watch it. We now have the Do You Live audio experience on iTunes as well. So we've made it to iTunes. We've made it. But we will make sure that this gets repackaged for you. Thank you, everybody, for jumping on by. Any closing thoughts, Jim or Mark?
I would just say, just in the since COVID hit, you know, the streaming has really boomed, but it's maintained the pace. You know, up till about maybe 8 months ago, I wasn't a huge streamer. I have a 10-year, well, actually an 11-year-old now. She just turned 11. And that's all she does. Like you said it, Dennis. Our house is a streaming house now. And some of the shows that we watch, you know, 8 months ago, I would have never thought we'd be watching these types of shows. And the boom of streaming is changing the marketing world because of the way you can target and get a highly creative video which is the most powerful form of advertising by far, in front of the right people. That's the difference. But thanks for everyone for attending.
Yep, and we'll make sure that you get Mark and Jim's contact information as well. Sit down with them, work on and talk through your strategy that you need in order to be able to get into people's homes. That's a powerful thing to be able to tell your story. I want to thank WKBN for being not only just a media sponsor, but being a partner in the delivery and what we stand for, and that's educating our audience with our content. That concludes our webinar for today. We'll be back in September 4th. I'm doing a webinar on how to make your webinars more interactive, not just your webinars, but your online meetings as well. You can find that on our website at doyolive.com. And we'll be back also November 16th through the 20th for our virtual week of content. Thank you, everybody, for dropping on by today. And everybody have a great weekend. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.